In today's video, we are going to attempt to complete the end plate for our bird journal. Hello, welcome to Nixies Notebooks. I am your host, and today we are going to decorate the back of this book plate. So before we get started, there will be some starts and stops as I allow glue to dry. So lighting may change a little bit. I apologize in advance, but if I don't let the glue dry properly, it doesn't work right. So what I'm going to do, so on this page right here, this is going to be the page that's going to be glued back here. So this is going to be glued right here. I'm going to make a flip up with some little pieces of paper for a pad. But the flip up is going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of paper. So let's just say this is it. I'm going to fold it like this, and then I am going to tuck it in here, and then I'm going to glue it down like this. I'm not going to glue it on the front, so this can actually just flip up. Okay, so what I want to do here is I'm probably going to do a collage here. This is going to be the part that's going to be most visible when you first look at the journal, so I just want to put a little panel here. I may do something else with it, but for right now I would like to do a little panel. I was looking at this paper. I thought that might be nice. I think that'll look really nice on there. We'll do some of the gray stuff on it. Yeah, let's get started with that. Okay, so I'll move that aside for now. Let's do this. I cannot use the white chalk, obviously, because it's going to be too light because it's white colored, obviously. Okay, let's do that right there. And we'll do it up to about, we'll do it right there. I'm gonna have to change the blade on this soon. We'll just see what happens. Let's see what happens. I'll get that pencil later. Oh, I hate when I do that. So when you drop the, sometimes if your blade isn't all the way to the edge, I don't know if you can see that. Your blade isn't all the way to the edge and you drop it, it'll make a hole in your paper. So luckily I'm not using that side, so we're all set, but always make sure you return the blades to the edges when you are using these type of cutters. I'm going to go a little bit on the inside. Oops, that's way too much on the inside. Let's move it down. Let's move it down there. I'm going to go on the inside of my line because I need to cut off this edge too. I like to kind of re-square all the edges and stuff. I don't know if you can see this. I know it's kind of big, hard to see. My chair is squeaking too, I apologize. All right. Now we'll check it. I'm never concerned really if I cut something wrong because I do end up using my scraps in other places and other places and stuff, so it doesn't, I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, let me just do, this was the end that needed to be done here. I want the blue to stick out a little bit. You want to make it look like it's just been kind of posted there. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to move this. Alright, we're going to round the corners, then we're going to ink. The most favorite part of any video is when someone inks it, of course. And then you have to make sure you're doing it right. So it's going to be kind of counterintuitive, at least for me it's counterintuitive. I want to do it on this side because this is going to be the way it's going to go. It's not going to open up like a normal book. It's going to be opening up backwards because it's in the back of the book. So just keep that in mind if you try this. And that looks like that would fit nicely. So we're going to glue stick this. We're going to make sure we get a lot of glue on here so it actually stays down. Real issues with that. I use a lot of glue. I don't like using like white glue or PVA glue because it tends to kind of, I don't know, it wrinkles the paper. Not that this doesn't either. I do actually put this under some books. That's why there will be some pauses, because when you're doing a whole piece like this, it is still going to warp the paper, unfortunately. So, all right. Let's make sure we're doing this the right way. It's going to open this way, so this will be the front. All right, I am going to put this under some books and I'll be back. Okay, so the back part of this did dry, so we are going to continue on with finishing up this end plate. Because there was some gap in time, I did notice I have some new viewers and I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm very excited. So I cut out all the pieces of paper for the most part just to make it a little bit easier, and I'm going to pull my chair forward and it's going to make noise because I have it on a really weird mat. Okay, there we go. So I did cut out some stuff, I pulled out some stuff just to make the video go a little bit quicker, so we're not just sitting here forever watching me cut paper and search for paper and stuff like that. So my plan is I'm going to make a fold over here. What I mean by a fold over is I am going to fold this piece of paper over and then it'll flip up. Don't forget the back of this is actually going to be on the book. It's going to be glued down to the book, so that will even secure this flip up a little more. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a flip up. So what we got to do is we got to make sure we got this right. One would think that I would do it with a ruler or something, but it's so much easier to eyeball it. So that's what we're going to do. Get a good little crease there, and then I'm going to actually make sure it does kind of line up with each other on the sides of the page. It does. Look at that. How good. All right, perfect. So I'm going to put that right there. So what's going to happen is this will be glued to the back of this, and then this whole piece will be glued back down to the book, so you will have a flip up. Should make a little tag for that so it's easier to flip up. So anyways, on top of the flip up, my plan is to sew this on here. So it's got 3 little pieces of paper. I am going to stamp something along there. Let me do that now. I know I'm kind of getting all over the place, so let me do that right now. So if I stamp this now, it'll give us some time to dry. And did you see these? I got these at the dollar store. So excited about that. So, I just happened to walk in. I wasn't actually looking for anything. I was just like, I'll take a perusal around, and then I found these and I was like, oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. So I grabbed them. In a nice way, I grabbed them. Not in any sort of weird way. I just had one on my desk. Hey, okay. I never use the lines on these things. I probably am using it all wrong. That's okay. I hope you could see that. So The biggest problem with stamps is that I never get the middle done right. Like the middle always seems to be kind of not enough. So let's wipe that off. I'm just gonna do right down there. Probably hold it for too long, but that's okay. I'm gonna lift up. There we go. Oh, perfect. How perfect is that? All right. Now I'm gonna pull out a wet wipey. Probably use this with throughout. So let's pull this out. There we go. All right. Wash my hands a little bit. And there we go. There's the chore noise. The wheels kind of get stuck on the mat, so it's hard for me to pull it forward. So I do apologize if you hear me doing that throughout the video. Okay. And I dry it on my pants. Yes, I do. And for anyone who's all freaked out about that, I have clothes that I wear for crafting and that's it. So that way I can use them or get paint on them or get whatever on them without worrying about it. So just makes life a little bit more convenient. So as you can see, it'll go like this. And then that. Perfect. I'm not going to distress these. I'm going to leave them as is. I think that's probably a little bit better. I'm going to leave them in the square shape. I kind of like that for this. I may round these corners. I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll see where we go with that. All right, so I'll put that aside for right now. My plan is to sew them with this on top, if I didn't say that already. This is some beautiful fabric that my aunt painted and she gave to me. So I use it sparingly, but it's beautiful, and I just wanted to use it. I thought it matched really pretty with the blues and stuff. So we're going to do this. We're going to put this right on here. So when you have, is this going to work? Did I do this right? Ooh, barely, barely, barely. All right. So we're going to move him as far up to the top as we can. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to glue it down so you don't see it. And then when you flip up, then you got a pretty bird. Can you see that? Okay. So let's, I'm not going to glue this down right this minute. I am probably going to wait. Because if I glue everything down now, I'll have to stop again. So I'd like to kind of wait. Because I have another project that I'm going to do on this side. I am going to round the corners of this. This is some pretty silver material. I'm going to make a pocket. So this was this is the range of birds, motmots and toddies. So that'd be kind of cute. Make a little bit of a pocket with this. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Hopefully this works out the way I want it to. Apparently I really cut this on the wrong angle. So let's straighten that out a little bit. So you do get to see some cutting today. How perfect. All right, let's straighten this out just a little bit. Let's not, maybe we shouldn't destroy everything I have underneath there. I want the pocket to have some give. Sometimes when you just glue down 2 sides of a piece of paper or 3 sides of a piece of paper to make your pocket, it doesn't have much give. Like it's hard to get items in and out of there. So creating this type of pocket will actually help a little bit. Okay, for the rest of this video I've sped it up. This is where I started to have some real problems with making the journal and trying to make this work. I don't know if I was just all over the place and couldn't concentrate. I probably should have just picked one section and worked on that one section. This envelope here, I had a hard time because it wasn't centered, so I was starting to get frustrated, and I think this was where my downfall started. And yes, it was a downfall. It got worse. It gets worse. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making a pocket on that silver page. It's I folded it over the edges so that way the pocket has some give. What I mean is it's not just a flat paper glued onto another piece of flat paper. You'll be able to stick items in there. I had originally wanted to take those tabs and cut out a little slice out of the silver and kind of put those tabs through and glue the tabs to the back of the silver piece of paper. But I realized if I messed that up, it would have been not good because you would have seen the cut lines. And I'm just really not good at measuring, and I knew if I tried, I knew I was already starting to get a little bit frustrated, and I knew if I tried to do that, it would be a lot worse. This would have been a lot worse. So I'm just gluing it down. I am using fabric tack just because of the type of paper that is. It's a really smooth kind of metallic piece of paper, so I decided to do that. Don't know why I left all this in here. Okay, I'm just removing glue. Sorry, people. Yeah. The fabric tack does come off pretty easily on most surfaces. Sometimes it doesn't, it will touch the paper, but for the most part, it's actually been pretty good. So, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to glue that right there, just so you know. So earlier in the video, I think I had said I was going to keep everything kind of square, and I was going to keep everything kind of a gray color. I decided to change my mind like midway through. I actually had to pause the video while I thought about it. So here I do is I'm rounding all the corners of these pieces of paper. That's going to be like a little notebook. I decided I think I'm going to use silver and gray within the book. Kind of keep some blue and silver tones as well as some of the brown. Wait, what did I just say? I'm gonna use brown, like the vintage brown stuff. I was trying not to. I really wanted to use the gray. Changed my mind. I'm gonna be using more of the browns and stuff as well. Here I am. I'm gonna make a tag so that's gonna be the flip up. The back panel is gonna go underneath the page, as I explained before, and it's supposed to flip up. To make it a little bit easier to flip it up, I decided to make a little tag on the side. And I was going to glue it down and then sew it on. Again, I'm using the fabric tack. It really is good glue. And I just put a little bit, didn't need a lot because I knew I was going to sew it. So now this is where the mistakes just start and they don't end at all. So I decided I'm going to make an envelope here, and I did speed this up really fast because there's just a lot of mistakes, and yeah. So I'm doing like kind of a tri-fold envelope, so you just kind of fold the two sides over, and then you fold to make the flap and then the bottom part of the envelope. And then you fold over each of the edges, and then you do some cutting. You have to be very careful when you do this cutting. See how I'm folding it over on the edges there? When you do this cutting for the top of the envelope, the flap of the envelope, where you'd normally like lick it and close it, you have to be careful that you don't make those sides where I folded. You see where I'm cutting now? Those sides where I folded, you have to be careful you don't cut them too far in, and that the envelope flap kind of falls inside of them, because it will look funny. So right here is where I make my first mistake, or probably this is not probably my first mistake through this video, but I decided to, I keep trying to get, so when I make these type of envelopes, I always have a problem with the angle of the flaps on either side. I mess it up every single time. So my goal was not to do it this time, and to cut it straight. I have issues with cutting paper straight, don't know why, just can't do a straight line. So I decided to pull out my cutting board. This is where the mistake happens because what happens is, as you can see, I cut way too much off the side there. And when I fold the flap down, it's pretty much even or a little bit smaller than the insides. And you can kind of see it there. See? Yep, right there. So I had to do it over again. I wasn't going to keep that part in the video. I was actually going to cut that out. But I figured I'm going to show you this whole video. I might as well show you every mistake I've made. So it does happen, you know, when you see people make, you know, what you think is perfect stuff. Sometimes they've made mistakes. I try to cover up a lot of my mistakes, or just I reuse a lot of stuff from my mistakes. But you know, here's just a good example, just so you can see that yeah, stuff gets away from everyone. So I fold it again. Getting myself all confused. Decided I need to cut off more of it. I just want to make sure it's a certain size. So what happens is that envelope is going to flip over on that tab. So you'd open that up and then open up the tab if you wanted to. Here I am. This time I'm cutting it right. So this is the bottom part of the envelope. Do a very small. You gotta make sure you cut the edges a little bit, because you want those edges to kind of fold over onto those inside flaps. So that worked out pretty good. Did okay there. So I decided to measure it again. Of course, notice I'm not anywhere near straight on the line below, which is what I'm using to measure off of. I realize that now. I still decide just to go with it. There we go. So I cut it. Well, now see, when I cut it, if you watch, I really kind of angle it differently. Did you see that? I don't know if you realized. I did angle it differently so this envelope would be able to shut better. You could see it there. Yeah, it was really fast, I know. But I figured you didn't want to see 20 minutes of me making mistakes. Actually, it was over like 40 minutes. It was bad. So you see there, I'm going to glue it down. That's going to be a fold open. Okay. Again, glue it down. Always glue, so when you're doing these type of envelopes, you glue on the side right there that you're going to push down onto the little tabs on the inside of the envelope. The reason why you do it that way is because you don't know how far up it's going to go, and you just don't want extra glue on it. Okay, so now next is to glue it down to here. This is my next mistake. I decided that now I'm going to do brown. Just, I don't know why. I like, some of the birds are like blue and stuff, and I thought the blue and silver would be pretty, but then there's some browns and stuff, so I think it's just going to be a mixture in this book. So this is what I do next. I glue the envelope down without even thinking, without even realizing what I'm doing. I still have to collage on top of it and decorate it, and then I just glue it down. I don't know what I was thinking. Apparently wasn't thinking, so yeah. So I glue it down. I realize that there's glue that's hanging out because I drew that line and then completely ignored the line. I don't know. That's what I was doing with the pencil, is I was making a line so I could figure out kind of how far to make the glue go up. And then I glued over that line because, you know. So I got out this piece of really beautiful ribbon. I got it from Vishna Embellishments. Beautiful stuff. The ends are a little like tattered, which I'm okay with. I think that'll give it some character. So then I go on to just apparently a lot of blank space. What the hell did I do? Okay, I'm really not sure what I did there. Just gave you a bunch of blank space. Sorry about that. Yeah, see, I'm not even editing videos really well right now, so this is obviously a problem. This is where I start to think about the brown. I think that's where I start to think about the brown. And then I decide to ink up all the edges, and then I realize I folded the envelope down, so I'm not going to be able to ink up all of the edges, only just some of the edges that I can easily get to. And then I start inking a back that's going to be glued down. I don't know why I started to do that. So I inked around all the edges of the book. I must have been looking for my inker. That's probably why. There was that space. Sorry. I was thinking back to that long pause there. I was probably looking for my stamper and my ink thing. And for some weird reason, I decided to jump back over to the flip out thing. Not sure what made me think it would be a good idea to start that again. Just figured I would. Oh, I'm inking all the pages. That's what made me jump over to that. I'm inking those brown. They do look actually pretty nice, you know, inked up brown and stuff. So now I clip this down, the material and all the papers down together, and I'm so worried about, I like the way it's clipped down. It seems very straight and even, so I realized then that I hadn't sewn down the tab yet. So I'm letting you guys see my sewing machine and my little chunky leg there. Right. So I'm trying to sew the tag while not disrupting the papers that I had clipped. And I really can't see well what I'm doing when I sew. I apologize. I just kind of moved the camera, my little camera thing a little bit just to kind of show it. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I kind of went back and forth. I did a straight stitch, something very simple. I decided I was going to do a zigzag stitch. Can't see me. I do mess with it and fix it and get it all set up. But here, as you can see, nothing's going, so it becomes a big old ball of knots. I don't know what happened. The thread broke. I probably need to bring my sewing machine in, so I had to pull it out. Notice how I pulled out the string. I pulled down from the inside. Always pull, like if you're removing string, you always pull it from the needle. Oh, there's my unwashed hair. Awesome. Oh, I am batting 1,000. Ugh. Anyways, always pull out from the needle. Never pull up from the top when you're trying to take the thread out of a sewing machine, because it can ruin the tension. So here I go. I try again. It's still not working. I don't know what's going on. And then it gets stuck in there. So I finally cut it out. What happens is I pull this out and I pull out a really large piece of thread, knotted thread. You could see it just a few seconds ago. I pulled out a piece of large knotted thread. Did a test paper again, sewed the top. Was still having some problems with it. I don't know why. Just didn't really want to sew these two pieces of paper together. So I did it. The problem is, is I sewed the flap down. The flap that was supposed to be glued behind the book is now sewed down with the paper and the thread. And I stopped the video. I did. I was so frustrated at that point. So I just stopped. So this is part 1 of the end plate. There will be a part 2. And I just wanted to thank you guys for watching, and to know that yes, everyone messes up. Everyone has problems when they're doing their crafts, and sometimes you just have to know when to step away. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.